Hey, welcome to episode 27 of The Shift. Boom, just like that, baby. We're back. We have a bit of a shorter episode for you guys today because, look, it's not playoffs yet. We want to talk about the playoffs. Trust me, we want to talk about it. And technically, we will talk about them today, but we can't do any playoff previews yet. But we're going to do that on Monday because the playoffs really start, I guess, Tuesday. Tuesday. So, Nick Earnshaw,
Yo.
what's up? Episode 27, baby. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm here. I'm excited. I was on a couple of shows recently. I was giving the Shift a plug. Hope you know that.
What shows were you on? Let's plug those shows.
Dropping my boy Jason Joseph. I was on his podcast last night. So we plugged it in there. Might have gotten a couple of new subscribers to the channel, which is cool. I was talking to the people in the chat. But yeah, we've been hanging out. We've been hanging in there, watching these games. Red October's on the way. It's official.
I mean, we're waiting. We're waiting, man. We're ready. We're ready.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Hey,
Hey, I'm nervous about the NLDS though. Not gonna lie. I'm nervous, but they got to get to the wild card first. But again, we'll talk about that once our playoff preview comes.
Yep.
Nick Earnshaw, tell people what's on the docket for today.
Well, we have a great show ahead of you. A little shorter show today than usual, because we want to save it for the playoffs. We want to have a big playoff extravaganza for you. So today, we're going to talk about a couple of NL East players. One season everyone knows about. And then the other guy, his season kind of went under the radar, I guess. To me, he did. I didn't care until I saw it today. I didn't. Who cares? But we're going to talk about him. Two players in the NL East. I'm not going to name the names yet, but we'll get there. Also, we want to talk about some AL teams. One AL team in particular that is on the cusp of maybe making the playoffs, maybe not. So can't wait to get into that. Also, in just a few moments, we're going to honor a legend, R.I.P., Brooks Robinson. Can't wait to talk about what his career meant to the game of baseball and the Baltimore Orioles. And then, we're going to round out the show with, kind of something different today. We're going to talk about something with the fans, what we should remember throughout this season that might have kind of flown under the radar a little bit. So, great show all around. Can't wait for it.
Yep. All right, so let's start the show with rest in peace, Brooks Robinson. He passed away on Tuesday at the age of 86 years old. From what I understand, Brooks is, and understandably so for sure, staple in Baltimore sports, not just the Baltimore Orioles, but Baltimore sports, obviously baseball. People argue that could be the best third baseman of all time. Regardless of what the argument is, it just doesn't matter. Brooks Robinson's one of the all-time third baseman, all-time baseball player, 16-time Gold Glove winner. Most ever by a third baseman. I think the next are Schmidt and Arenado with 10, 18-time All-Star. One stat I thought was really interesting. Also one-time MVP, All-Star Game MVP, and World Series MVP. One stat I saw was really interesting. Sarah Langs, I think, tweeted it out that he has the most one-run driven in games that end in a 1-0 game all time or something like that. So he has the most, 10. Yeah, I love those. Wow. That's why we love baseball, those type of stats. 10. Do you understand what I'm saying? He has 10 one-run driven in games that ended in 1-0 where his team won. He has the most ever. 10.
Huh.
Insane.
That's pretty cool.
I had to throw that nugget in there.
Yeah, that's really cool. I did not know that. I'm reading it here now in an ESPN article. He won his MVP in 64, batted .317, 118 RBIs, and then finished, top 4 in 4 other seasons in MVP voting. Like, he spent his entire career with the Baltimore Orioles. He's a Baltimore legend, and the Orioles, they're back in the playoffs this year. So it would be a cool way to honor his legacy this year if they may go on a little bit of a run. But yeah, one of the all-time great third basemen, has the numbers, has all the statistics, has all the accolades, has the hardware. The guy's just an absolute legend in Baltimore. And the fact he stayed with one team his entire career, I think that's pretty special too, especially when you're that good and that much of a legend, especially in the game of baseball. So, R.I.P. to Brooks Robinson, man. I mean, absolute stud, absolute legend during his playing days.
Yeah. Well said. All right, so let's get to it happened. It did happen, Nick Earnshaw,
Yes,
and
it did.
first off, I'm apologize. For a while I was making the argument, and I felt like it was valid. As he says, still having an unbelievable season and probably win MVP in some other year. Mookie Betts. I said for a while that he should have been MVP. You can make the argument over Ronald Acuna Jr., even though I think Acuna is deserving, and I definitely think he is deserving now. So I want to apologize. 40-70, Ronald Acuna Jr. does it last night. Braves win in a walk-off fashion. Um, uh, for Acuna to have a 40 home run season, 70 stolen bases. Yes, he does lead the majors in caught stealing. Okay, I just want to mention that. But at the end of the day, 40-70 is wild for Acuna. And Nick, where does it rank for you like last 20 years? Because I kind of wanted to spin this and not just
Jeez.
talk about the 40-70 season, wild. But where does it rank for you? And we don't have to you don't have to rank it specifically. Maybe we can do that. Maybe I might do that on social media. Maybe put my where it actually ranks 1 to 10 with some of the other seasons. But just generally, where does it rank for you when you think about some of the other seasons that come to mind? Where would you rank it
Yeah.
just generally in what tier?
Well, I think it's got to be, gosh, like top 4 for me in the past, like what, 10, 15, 20 years. It's got to be like up there in the top 4 or 5 for me of putting together a complete season. I mean, he's only the second Brave since 1900 to have 70 steals. Otis Nixon was the other one in 1991. It doesn't happen very often, and he's the first. Like, when you're the first of anything, you've done something pretty special. In this case, positively. You could be the first to do something negative, but mostly when you do something for the first time, to have the 40-70 season, it's pretty damn impressive. I don't care how many times he got thrown out. I know you do, and you
I'm
love
just
it.
messing around somewhat.
But I mean, it's
Go ahead.
got to be up there, right? I mean, you had Judge with the 60+ home runs. Was it Miggy did Miggy have a triple crown year? Who had a triple crown year?
Yes,
Miggy.
2012, either
Yeah,
2012 or 2013. One of
he
those
had a
years.
triple crown year. Like, that's really impressive too. But like, to have 70 stolen, that's like, and he's got thrown out a lot too. So he might not have gotten to 70. There's only a couple games left of the season, and also
Right.
have the power and the speed. Like, it's got to be up there for me. Like, a triple crown's impressive, over the 60 home runs impressive, but you're showing your athleticism, you're showing your power and your speed when you do a 40-70 season, something that hasn't been done before. Like, it's pretty cool. So I'd have to rank it up there in like the top 5 seasons over the last however many years. In, I guess, the 2000th century, right, the 21st century. It's up there for me. It's pretty damn impressive. It stinks that it's a Brave. Hate to say it, but man, he's been unbelievable, and you got to
Hey, and
give him
not even
credit.
just him. Matt Olson broke
Yeah.
Andrew Jones's record this year. Home
Yeah,
runs. So.
he did. Like, they just mashed. Like, that
Their
Braves
entire
team,
offense is breaking
it
records.
just mashes. So it's impressive. And the guy's homegrown player. When they won the World Series, he wasn't even on that team. So like, they have a chance to. They have a chance. Like, he got hurt that year, so it's like he's putting together historic stuff right here for his career. Got to give him credit.
Yeah. So I mean, I just wrote down some of the seasons that come to mind for me. When I thought of, because this is definitely, like, I agree with you. It's definitely like 100% top 10. You can make the argument it's top 5. So the ones that came to mind, I wrote down like 6-7 years here. I thought Judge from last year. I mean, Judge had an incredible 2022, breaking the American League record for home runs all time. I think it was 62. I think Judge hit 62 last year. So I thought Judge 100% up there. As an all around, even just not even a power hitter, all around hitter last year was incredible. I think about Trout 2012, where he did finish second to Miggy in MVP voting. I think about Trout's 2016 year, where I mean, I know the WAR isn't end all be all, but looking at that statistic and his overall value, Trout was just an absolute. I mean, he was an absolute animal every year from 2012 to about 2019. But those years stick out for me as far as WAR goes for Trout. Miguel Cabrera, 2012, 2013. as far as the Triple Crown years, and the year he followed it up with was really the same year. He just didn't happen to not win the RBI crown. So, and you could argue actually the year following Triple Crown was better. His OPS was like I think 100 points higher. But I mean, number one all time, dude. I mean, like from not maybe all time, but Bonds 04, dude. I mean, Bonds had almost a 1500 OPS. That's, I mean, the intentional walks, the home runs. I mean, the guy probably would have hit 130 home runs if he didn't get walked as many times as he did. I think of Barry Bonds 03, 04, if we're just looking at the past 20 years. So Bonds 03 and 04. Even like Ichiro in 04, I'm trying to think of the numbers I was looking at. Like Ichiro, I think 262 hits that year, I believe it was. That he was a monster defensively that season as well. Just, but Ichiro 04, and then Mookie Betts 2018. Mookie Betts, I know I'm bringing up Mookie, but Mookie had a monster year that year. In terms of WAR, I think he had a 10.7 Baseball Reference WAR. Just all around an incredible player offensively and defensively. Like I try to make the argument this year, but Earnshaw wouldn't listen. But those are some of the years that I think of when I think of Acuna, and I think it's right up there with some of these seasons. I mentioned about 8 or 9 seasons there, so I think Acuna is right up there, no matter how you spin it.
Yeah, no, you brought up some great seasons. I pulled up Ichiro's numbers from 04, had 262 hits. Played in 161 games, 24 doubles, 60 RBIs, 36 stolen bases, 372 batting average. Ridiculous. 414 OBP, 455 slugging, 869 OPS, 130 OPS plus. All-star, 7th in MVP voting that year, which is great. Like he had that's a ridiculous year. And this Acuna year, I mean, it sticks out with them, right? Like he fits right 100%. In there. Like he fits right into those conversations and that argument of, hey, where does this rank in seasons over the past 20 years, right? So it's pretty cool to have someone do something for the first time and see kind of history, right? Like we've had Ohtani the past couple of years be a pitcher and a power hitter, and he's been great. That's been cool. And then to have this on top of it, baseball's in a good spot, man. Baseball's in a good spot with a lot of these younger players, kind of new generation type players. It's up there for me, and I think you brought up some great points. But yeah, it's definitely up there.
Yeah. All right. So the meat potatoes segment. Here we go, baby. A bit of a shorter one, probably more of an appetizer. Like I like wings as an appetizer.
Guess what?
What?
Before we came on, I had potatoes.
What kind of potatoes?
Canned potatoes, like the ones you get in the can. Boil them. I boiled potatoes. Got some butter on there. Had that with lunch. How about that?
Baked potato?
No. Canned white potatoes.
So you eat that? Why?
Yeah, why not? Starch, man.
By itself? That's boring.
Yeah, with butter. Oh, it's great, man.
Potatoes. It's either you're eating fries, or you mashed potatoes, or you're eating baked potato.
I need you to try it. All right, I need you to try it. Go to the store, get just canned potatoes, and just boil them and eat them. It's great. It's good for you. It's good for you. It was so good. Oh, I felt great after eating it. Got my calories in. Got my starch in for today. On the way.
I'm happy for you. Happy for you. Good for you. Now the real meat potatoes here, okay? Jesus Christ. I know you literally had potatoes. That's disgusting.
I literally had potatoes today.
Yes. Let's talk about the Houston Astros.
Before we
go ahead.
I couldn't wait to share that, by the way. I couldn't wait to I could not wait to share that.
I could have waited.
I was eating it. I was eating them. I had them in my bowl, my butter, and it was great. I was cutting them up. I'm like, can't wait to share this on the show. And butter. Just butter.
But anything else?
Technically, no. Potatoes boiled. I put little circle potatoes and boiled them for 15, 20 minutes or whatever, however long you're supposed to boil them for. Put them in a bowl, cut them up, and buttered them, and boom, ate them.
Oh my God! I just threw up in my mouth. All right. So as we go, all that nonsense to go to Hector Neris. I'm just going to clown say what a clown.
More nonsense.
He did this clown stuff when he was with the Phillies too. What the heck is this bull crap he did last night? Where I've never seen that before. He walked towards Julio Rodriguez after he struck him out, and then halfway there walked the other way. It was weird. It was he was walking all weird, like with his hunchback or whatever, and he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, look at me, I struck you out." It was weird, man. Then the bench is cleared. Astros
Yeah.
end up winning this game. Weird, Nick.
Yeah, I didn't see this. Like I knew what happened in last night's game. I
You
know
saw it though.
like
You watched it though,
yeah,
right?
after you texted me about it, I was like, I missed that. And because
Yeah.
I didn't watch a ton of that game last night. I was watching some of the Phil's game.
Right.
But I didn't see the Astros game in its entirety. Um yeah, they don't have history, right? Like I don't think there's like any history
Miras
really
and
there.
Julio, not
Yeah,
really.
I
I don't
have
think.
like that has been really publicized. And like that literally almost started a benches clearing brawl. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Something must have happened to set Hector Neris off. Um, I don't know. Like I don't know. Julio maybe he said something on the way to the play. I don't know. Like why would there something had to have happened, or Hector might have just
Yeah.
been fired up. You
But
know,
Hector's weird though,
he is an
man.
odd guy. I
Yeah.
it's just funny to me. Like something must have happened beforehand for him to be set off like that. You know what I mean? Like you don't
Interesting.
just
Yeah.
but he could just be, a little bit out there
Fired
and
up.
got fired
Yeah, I
up
think
in the
he's
heat
a
of the
little
moment.
weird.
That could have
Yeah.
happened. It's possible too, but I feel like for him to get that fired up, something must have been said beforehand. I don't know.
I don't know. I remember when it was the Phils, he like struck out. I think it was against the Mets, and he like screamed "F you" at the dugout or something like that. And like I don't
Yeah.
know. I think Near's just weird, man. I don't know.
And it's not like he's Joe Kelly. Like you know what I mean? Like
Right.
Joe Kelly comes off the mound, he's always yelling at somebody. He's always
Of course
getting
he
in
is.
someone's
Or
face.
like Lance
Especially
Lynn.
yeah. So it's like I don't know. But he like walked up like he was like
It was weird. That's what I'm saying. It was weird. It was odd.
he wasn't
Like
walking
the way
back
he
to the
walked
dugout.
up.
Like he wasn't walking back to the dugout yelling over and chirping.
Yeah, like he was walking towards Julio for a good while, and then he like stopped, and then he like smartly
like
like
square
walked
up
the
at
other
that
way.
point. Square up at that point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let's go.
Let's see a good fight. I love fights. I love baseball
Well,
fights. I love Jose
there's
Ramirez and Tim Anderson.
there's some people that enjoy baseball fights more than no hitters.
Oh, we know who that is.
We know who they are. We know who they are.
Not Joe Kelly, his brother.
Yeah. It's relative.
Tom Kelly.
Relative.
Tom Kelly.
TK. You know what I texted him?
Well,
You know
what
what
did
I
you text
texted Tom Kelly? I texted him the day the Phillies clinched. I sent him a
He said-
picture of Aaron Nola lighting up the cigar from last year when they went to the playoffs.
Big game pitcher.
Dude, I was so pissed because I said this is going to be Aaron Nola when he sends the Phillies to the playoffs after 7 strong, and he went 6 2/3 innings.
Big game pitcher. Man, you were
Big game.
slamming the table there.
Big game Nola. I know, dude. I was 1 out away. Topper took him out. I get why Topper took him out. He had to take him out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, I get it. But I was pissed. I was like, oh, he was 1 out away from me being totally right. Totally right.
Right. You're right though. No, I give it to you. Over TK.
So-
Absolutely. I give you
yeah.
I give you the edge.
Yeah.
All right. So, but as far as the Astros go here, I think this is interesting. They do hold a playoff spot right now, right in front of the Seattle Mariners, who they just beat last night. So that was a big series. Houston, 87-72 now hold the last wild card spot. Seattle, 85-73. Nick, this is interesting because I don't know. It's because they have a series here with the Diamondbacks, and like that's big for both of them. So that's a big series for both of them. I'm interested to know from you, Nick, and I'll go first here.
Okay.
How would you feel? Well, what is your outlook on the Astros now if they were to miss the playoffs? Because that would be wild. They win the World Series. People are talking about dynasty, which is not true. I'm sorry. You have to win 3 championships to be considered a dynasty.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can be an American League dynasty. That's fine. I agree with that. But they did not win 3 World Series championships, so they are not a dynasty. And you could argue one's tainted. So I don't know, man. I think there's an angle here where the Astros could be, I'm not saying they could be a good team for the next 3 to 4 years, but I think they could be looking up at Seattle potentially. I think they could be, they are already looking up at Texas right now. And Texas is not only going to get, they're going to continue to get better. You have Seager, who's in his prime. Seager could have an MVP season if it wasn't for Ohtani. people are arguing him for the MVP almost. I think there's a possibility here, Nick, that the Astros could just be like a team that gets in the wild card every year and gets maybe bounced in like the first round from now on. I think there's a possible. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying anything like that. I would be surprised if they made a run here, or if they get in the playoffs, make a run, or for years to come, they're still like contenders. But I think there's a possibility here, man. They're core, Altuve, Bregman. Bregman's still 29, having a good year, but Altuve not getting any younger. Bregman, going to be 30 soon. Verlander, and they brought him back. Verlander's good, but he's old. Framber Valdez having a good year, but Christian Javier, not the pitcher that we thought he was initially early on, but he could have a bounce back. I don't know, man. And their farm system's ranked second to last according to Fangraphs right now. I mean, they don't have guys like coming in like they normally used to. And I understand Altuve's been hurt for some of the year, even Jordan Alvarez, who I didn't mention. And they do have Kyle Tucker still. So they're still talented. But they just don't feel right now like they're the Astros of last year or the couple of years before. I'm not saying they're going away. I'm not saying that. But I do see the possibility with the way the division is shaping up. And their farm system being ranked what it is, that maybe the Astros might just be like a solid to good team the next couple of years, and who knows what'll happen after that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Seattle's kind of going like this, Texas is kind of going like this, and Houston's kind of going like that a little bit. I think it just might be a year where they're kind of taking a step back, right? I just don't think they're going to be the juggernaut that they were. They've been a juggernaut, like running the American League. That comes to an end at some point. And this might be kind of the start of the end. Whether they make the playoffs or not, they're not as scary as they used to be, it feels like. They've taken kind of a little bit of a step back. Still a very good team. Still can make noise in the playoffs, no doubt, if they get in. But even if they miss the playoffs, it's like, okay, Houston kind of just had a down year. I mean, they've like been in the World Series how many times now? They've won a couple. They've been in the playoffs every year. Maybe it was just a year where they kind of just took a step back, had a little bit of a down year, and then next year they kind of revamp and retool and go back. That's what it seems like to me this year. Like it was just kind of more of a down year for a really good team, and they're kind of on the decline, but they're still going to be pretty viable as the seasons go along. So I'm not going to be totally out on Houston being, a contender and being a playoff team every year. But, it makes you wonder, maybe they're starting to go the other way a little bit, especially when you have teams rising up like Seattle, like Texas, like these teams coming up in their division, because it's got to end at some point, right? Like this run that they've been on for a long time, guys are getting a little older. I mean, they still have some young players, but, they don't have that same youth being rejuvenated through their system anymore, being ranked one of the last teams in baseball with their prospects. So, yeah, I feel like it's kind of a year where they step back, will still kind of be around, but won't be that juggernaut. I don't think they're that juggernaut as they once were and what they looked like last year when they won the World Series. I just don't think they're there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think we're on the same plane. I think that they're juggernaut here. That's what they were. And I think there's a possibility they go down like this and they're just going to stay there and just be a good team. And also even outside the division, like Baltimore, obviously only getting better.
Yeah.
Rays are really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I love to see Houston not make the playoffs because I'm sick of seeing them in the playoffs, to be honest. But, I think they're just going to plateau a little bit. Like, I think that's probably the right word to use here, is they're going to plateau from here on out, it seems like. Like, they're going to be good. They'll add pieces in free agency here and there. But guys are getting older. Their core is kind of dwindling a little bit from where it once was at its peak. I just think they're starting to plateau a little bit, and I think they're on the decline while other teams are going to start catching up to them and moving past them.
Yeah, and us saying this means they're going to win the World Series this year.
Yeah, I know. We're going to be dead wrong.
It's
going to be again Kyle Tucker. I'm sick of it. Jordan.
Christian Javier had like a down year, but he's going to have like a no-hitter in the playoffs again. He'll be a part of it. Yeah. So there you go. So that's the conclusion there for the Astros. You brought this up to me earlier. Francisco Lindor. 30-30 season for the Mets. A little quiet. Mets have had a disappointing season.
Quiet.
Lindor kind of
It was
flies under the
silent.
radar.
It was
Very
silent.
silent. Yeah.
It was silent.
So
30 for 30 for me, at least.
Yeah. He had a good season. I don't know, man. Like, I'll let you go first. What's your thoughts here? What does it say about Lindor? What does it say about the Mets? Are people not talking about it enough? Lindor having another bounce back season after his debut with the Mets in 2021 wasn't so great.
I mean, he's been fine this year. Like it's impressive. 30 season. I just didn't know. I didn't know like he was even gonna have that this year. Like I didn't know his power numbers were there, because I believe this is like he hasn't hit 30 home runs since 2019. So it's been a few years since he's done that.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe is it garbage time? Like he's just getting free at bats, free swings up there. I don't know. Like who cares about the Mets have been like so irrelevant since the trade deadline, or even a little bit before that. I guess because they've been so bad, and like the expectations were so high, like people kind of just forgot. Like, oh, they do have some good players still. Like they still have some pretty impressive players. Lindor's still a pretty decent player. He's gotten paid a lot of money. So I just didn't realize he was here. I didn't realize I thought his numbers were down a little bit. Like I thought they were still down a little bit. I don't know. I just didn't think he was gonna have a 30 for 30 season. I saw that and I was like, well, that kind of took me by surprise a little bit, because I'm not watching the Mets on a daily basis all the time. And who would? I mean, they had about 3 fans there the other day. Who would want to?
I'm going this weekend.
Are you really? You're gonna be one of the 4. 30. One of the 4 fans.
Me and one of our guests this year, Matt Musico.
I just want to. I've bragged about this all year, and I'll continue to do it. I was right about the Mets at the beginning of the year, to be skeptical about the older pitching and the line. Like I think I deserve some flowers for that. Being skeptical of the Mets in the beginning.
No, I'll give you some canned potatoes. How about that,
dude? I'll take those. Bro. I'll take them. I think I'm almost out. I think I only have 1 can left.
That's weird. That's weird to talk about. That's just odd. Why are you talking about this?
Why
is it embarrassing? Why are you embarrassing the show like this?
I'm not embarrassing the show. I'm promoting a healthy-ish lifestyle.
Are they healthy?
Healthy? No.
You boiled it, right?
I didn't say healthy. I said healthy-ish.
I heard healthy. I didn't hear the ish part.
No, I said ish. You go back and watch the tape. You go back and watch the tape, Francisco Lindor.
Hey!
All right?
Hey! Jesus Christ. No one has any idea what we're talking about. We're not going to mention it because we want you to think, what the hell are they doing? I don't know. Find out. Excuse me.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Afternoon.
Good morning, Vietnam. Oh, Jesus. Now I'm coughing like you are in the freaking first. Oh, God. Let's not tell everybody that we had to re-record this episode. Anyway. I'll just say we're on the same page here. Like, obviously, like the Mets have been disappointment. Go from 101 wins last year to 70 plus this year. I also think like Pete Alonso having a monster year. People, the Pete's been the talk there. I've seen recently that like people are arguing whether or not Pete's like a cancer in the clubhouse, which is probably not true. He seems like a great guy. So Pete's having a monster year. 45 plus home runs. Also, like Lindor's making $340 million over the next 10 years. So him having a season like this is the type of season he's supposed to have.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. He's making the most money for a shortstop behind Seager. So this is what he's supposed to do, and having another good year. So all right, let's before we get out of here, let's talk about. I didn't want to talk because we already talked about Acuna. We've already talked about Miggy last episode. If you want to check out us talking about what Miguel Cabrera's career and what things that stuck out to us as far as Miggy's final homestand happening right now. Go watch that last episode. That was episode 26 of The Shift. Watch that or listen to it wherever you get your podcast. But I'll start here first, Nick.
Okay, cool.
I want to talk about one thing that maybe fans should remember this year in Major League Baseball in 2023 that isn't talked about enough right now, or maybe won't be talked enough about, in the future when it comes to remembering this 2023 season as we wrap it up. Not that it's not talked about. So this is really much more, not being talked about enough. And maybe it's because this guy was signs a $300 million deal with the Yankees to be, the face of the Yankees as far as pitching goes. I mean, Judge is the face. Let's be honest. But Garrett Cole right now, for at least, especially this year, he's living up to expectations in pinstripes. I don't care if they're having a down year. You still have to go out there and you're facing the criticism and whatnot, having to be in front of the media every single day. Now I know he kind of brought it upon himself with the spider tack stuff when referring to Garrett Cole. We all remember that. But every pitcher was facing stuff with sticky stuff, so it doesn't matter. Garrett Cole is having a monster season. He's even like maybe not necessarily like he's not been the strikeout pitcher he's been in the past. I mean, he's still almost 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's still really good. Yeah. But for his standards, maybe not as high. But this year, literally leading American League in ERA, leading the majors in shutouts too, leading the American League in innings pitched, 209. Leading the American League batters faced, 821. ERA plus, it goes on and on. WHIP, leads the majors in. He's going to win the American League Cy Young. I don't think people are talking about it enough this year. Maybe, people still like to make fun of him for what happened with the Red Sox a couple of years ago in the playoffs, where he only went like 2 innings and didn't seem like he was a big game pitcher. But I think he's living up to expectations this year in New York, and he's about to win his first Cy Young when he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball, for the last like 5 to 7 years. So I think people aren't talking about that enough right now. Maybe people are talking about it, but maybe not enough. And maybe that does have something to do with the Yankees, not being, playoff team. But Garrett Cole's living up to expectations in New York, and I don't think it's being mentioned enough. So that's mine.
Yeah, that's really fair. I gotta go with Blake Snell, man. Blake
Hey,
Snell,
look at that. American League and National League side.
Yeah, it's crazy. I went with Blake Snell. The guy's been like unbelievable, and it stinks he's been on the Padres because the Padres have had such a down year. Like he's had the lowest ERA, the highest but like it's crazy. Like he's had the lowest ERA, the highest walks per 9 too. Like it's why he's had just like a crazy type year.
Insane.
And like to like that's something I feel like should be remembered from this year is how bad and how crazy like the Padres season was, like how the expectations were so high. And Blake Snell kind of represents that. Like there's so much good, but there was so much bad too. Like it, for me, it was Blake Snell. I think if I'm standing correct, since 2000, there have been 67 single season cases of a pitcher logging at least 150 innings with a walk to 9 innings pitch ratio of 4.50 or greater, and he's one of them. Like, and he's had such like a good season too. I don't know. It's
incredible.
It's crazy. Yeah. So the Blake Snell season this year is something I feel like people should really talk about and kind of remember from the season, even though the Padres were so disappointing. So that's mine. I'd have to go with that.
Yeah, and like it's funny because he started off the year not too great. Like his first like 5 starts had like a 5.48 ERA. I'm trying to look at some of his numbers here. Yeah, through his first it looks like 10 starts, 5.04 ERA, and he was just disgusting. Months after. So yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, I still feel like people are, now he's gonna win Cy Young in the American League and the National League because he's gonna win it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think
it's crazy.
I think it'll be talked about enough.
All right.
Yeah, I understand. Right. Interesting.
I think it's just because of the crazy stat. It's like a weird stat.
It's I agree with that.
It's just such an odd stat. Like, oh, that should be talked about with if when he wins the Cy Young. Like that should be talked about too, I think.
There's an argument there that Blake Snell's a perfect example. Stuff over command.
Yeah, for sure.
Saying some people talk about I mean Blake Snell can walk. He leads the majors in hits per 9 innings. Has the walk rate. I don't know, man. Blake Snell's proven that no biggie. I feel like Greg Maddux allowed a lot of hits. Like whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, command for him was insane. Yeah. So never mind. That's kind of a bad example. But I agree with that. I like your pick. For once, you know what I'm saying? I would say my Garrett Cole pick was better, but we'll let the fans decide.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course you would.
What I mean? So maybe they're not. They should be talking about that a little more. That my pick was better than yours. Like honestly, this year they should be talking about that. Should have been my pick. That my picks were overwhelmingly better than yours and a lot of stuff. My takes were overwhelmingly better than Nick Earnshaw's. They're not talking about it enough. That's my real pick. Garrett Cole's second.
Listen, when Ellie makes the playoffs and has his big playoff moment, I don't want to hear it, okay? I don't want to hear it.
Yo, I did my Phillies podcast earlier, bro, and you know what team I want to face the most for the Phillies? That's the Reds.
I know. I do too.
And they would destroy them.
And yes, I would
Obliterate.
love to see the Reds be destroyed by the Phillies. It'll hurt my heart to see Ellie just be destroyed by Zach Wheeler.
It wouldn't hurt my heart.
It wouldn't hurt. It hurt my heart a little bit. It would part of me would be like, damn. But
that'll be another up for Corbin if he makes the playoffs and the Reds don't.
It would. Yeah, Corbin's got
maybe they both make the playoffs. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Corbin's got it in the bag, man. He's all right. You don't have to rub it in anymore.
25-50. Stop playing with Corbin. Stop playing with Corbin.
I didn't want to become like a Corbin hater. I never really was until
I think you are now, though. That's not being talked about enough. That you're a Corbin hater. I don't think that's being talked about enough.
I'm just a big Ellie fan. That's all.
Corbin Franklin Carroll. That's his full name. Yo, Frankie.
Didn't work out on my end. That take. Damn.
Yeah, it did not. I'm glad you can admit it. But hey, that was a fun episode. Nick Earnshaw. Great time. We'll be back on Monday to talk about the playoffs. You know, Nick, let them know. Yo, let them know where they can follow us, where they can find us. Let us know.
Already know where to go. Follow us on TikTok, _shift_ on Instagram, the shift_media. Got Francisco on Twitter at Rojas _media_ me on Twitter, Nern_9. Follow us everywhere, man. We're popping off. Let's go. Follow us on the shift. It was a great show again, Francisco.
Yep. Hey, we're out of here.
Hey, we're gone.